Welcome to BBC Night, Election Night, July 2024. We're in store for a dramatic and predictable night. Welcome to the BBC Election Night, July 2024. We're in store for a dramatic and unpredictable night. Let's start off by hearing from the leader of the Labour Party, Mr. Dev09.
Good evening, Dan. It's I'm very pleased to be here tonight.
It's a pleasure to have you as well. So,
yeah, great.
As you know, tonight is election night. What do you think the results are going to be?
I think Labour have a very strong chance in winning. Because we've been campaigning a lot, and I think Liberal Democrats, they don't really provide as much things to our country.
Well, what do you think you're going to provide to our country then?
Well, first of all, we are going to improve the way the roads are structured and ensure that the roads are more smoother so that you can drive on them properly.
Alright, do you consider ruling out any parties in a possible coalition?
Not really, no.
So you would form a coalition with any government, any party at the time?
Yes.
Well, you talk about fixing the roads. There are other more pressing issues to the UK. What else do you say you're going to improve on?
We feel as though our police program is lacking a lot of the required individuals. So we're going to be launching the Metropolitan Police Recruitment Program, where we aim for the recruitment of at least six police officers every month, and we hope that this will aim to improve our police departments and recruit more to our police force to keep us streets safe.
What about the medical department? It seems that our current one is, the current head of it is quite inactive.
Yeah, we probably might fire that individual to ensure that we have somebody that's clearly more active and more qualified and able to do the role frequently.
Alright, could it be possible in a Labour government in cabinet terms, or will you decide this after the election?
Most likely we'll decide this after the election. I have some idea, but my ideas are not very strong for a cabinet yet. But we will be deciding this definitely after the election.
So, any candidates at all that you might think could help be in the cabinet?
Well, we think as though people such as Count will remain in the cabinet or as Senate due to their current experience and previous acknowledgement of the role.
So, you think, how many seats do you think you're going to get? Like, obviously you can't put an exact number, but what do you think you're going to achieve tonight?
I think we're going to achieve many seats, just as much as a good result, because our campaigning has been effortless, and the Conservatives, unfortunately, are losing right now. And the Liberal Democrats, we believe, are faking their results, well, faking their votes. So we believe that, considering that most people believe that they are faking their results, more of our results will be legitimate and valid and backed by the people instead of backed by any unlegitimate results.
Well, we'll shortly be going over to the exit poll soon. However, whilst we wait, we could talk more about the other parties. How do you think they're going to fare in tonight's election? Will they do good, or do you think they're going to suffer under a different ruling party?
As I've already mentioned, I think Conservatives do not have a strong chance in winning due to their lack of being able to get the required people to vote, and they clearly have been ruining our country already. So I think it's very safe to say that Conservatives do not have the best plans for this country, and it's clear that they are not getting enough people to vote for them, which means that they don't really care about the role, and they don't really care about their party.
How do you think your campaigning differed from, well, the Conservatives, considering they seem to be your main talking point?
The Conservatives provided they provided some information. They provided a similar amount to us, but we believe we provided more to what we will do with this country, and they only gave the same exact screenshot over and over again, whereas we include the same thing, but I could say maybe we included more things than them, and are definitely much more backed by the people.
Right, sorry to interrupt, but we have the exit poll at this point.
All
Good
right.
evening, and this is the BBC exit poll for July 2024 election. We're predicting the Liberal Democrats sit on 5 parliamentary seats. From the last election, we're predicting the Labour Party will sit on 4 seats, and we're predicting the Conservatives will lose a seat, sit on 1 seat.
Right, well, those are the exit poll results. What do you make out of this, Dev?
They're not the results as we expect. And I think I can disagree with this, because recently the two parties have been tying with each other, and I think there's a very strong chance they've continued tying. But I also think that, considering that the Liberal Democrats have been faking the results the most, they would have to apply a lot of effort to ensure that they'd get at least one more vote than us.
Well, we see predicted that the Conservatives have lost quite major amounts of seats, only going down to 1. Well, what do you make of this?
Well, I think what I've said about the Conservatives is really clear. I think they're losing votes simply because they cannot get the required people to vote for them, and their campaign is clearly inaccurate. They don't provide the best to this country, and their aims look very insufficient.
So would you say that you don't think these results are, correct?
No, not at all. I think they do not follow what we've been, to some degree they do, to some degree they don't. I think the Conservative result maybe was much higher, but the way they predicted, the Conservative result is a bit more accurate than the other ones.
Well, are you just saying this because you didn't come out on top, or can you provide us with evidence on why you think this is wrong?
Well, I think this is wrong simply, going back to one of my original points, when we were campaigning the the Liberal Democrats had been going into people's DMs and try and instead of recommending results or pushing people and encouraging people to vote, they were downright legitimately asking people to vote, which I assume. Not that this is 100% correct, but with what I've received, I think this may be the case. Also, we were tying. As I previously mentioned, we were tying. The result was tying originally. So, and I think Liberal Democrats was far much more behind every time. However, every time that they got one, maybe we seemingly got one, but sometimes it was out of order. Maybe we got one and they got one. And I also think that the Liberal Democrats have also been. How do we say this? Here. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say about that answer.
Right, sorry to cut you off, but now we're going back to Arthur, our main presenter for tonight.
Okay.
We have the first result right up from the north. We have Glasgow going to the Labour Party, the gain from the Liberal Democrats. We then go down to Northumberland, which is a hold actually for the Liberal Democrats. That's the incumbent Prime Minister's seat. So really no shocker there. And we're also predicting Central London is going to go to the Liberal Democrat. Gain for the party. EU.
So as you heard there were a lot of Liberal Democratic seats there, but we appear to only have heard one Labour seat. What do you make of this?
It's not that it's completely inaccurate, and it's not that it's completely insufficient, because I do believe, with all respect, that the Liberal Democrats have been recruiting as hard and effortlessly as possible. But I think that with the effort of our recruitments and effort of our votes, an acknowledgement of campaigning, I think that it's fair to say we should deserve and should have far more seats than this interprets.
Well, do you think that you're going to get more seats as Labour, or do you think that Lib Dem will take more seats?
To some degree, I think because of what we aim to provide, and the fact that we aim to back people in this country far more better, we could get more seats and people could like us a lot more. But it's not said the Liberal Democrats won't, because they provide a very much same quality to this country. And some of their effort to campaigning has been quite a surprise.
Well, as we saw, you didn't get Central London. What do you make of the fact that you don't get part of what's considered quite a heavily economic area of the UK?
Really, I think that will gain us a lot of money and wealth, and I think it's really essential that we gain that part of the country and that it is not given to anybody else, because the fact that this is also the place where Parliament and other political areas are, and the fact that, of course, if you become Prime Minister, you live somewhere around this area. We should deserve this area more than one single party.
Well, you say that as if you've run already. However, we need to go back over to Arthur to get more results.
Okay.
Again, we can confirm Cardiff have gone to the Labour Party, or East, which is a gain, I believe, from the South and Cornwall and East Anglia is a Liberal Democratic hold in both seats.
Right, well, again, you've only gotten one seat from that. However, other parties have benefited more than you, and I still think we see a Liberal Democrat total.
I think.
What do you make of this?
I think it's clear that these parties are already quite familiar within the United Kingdom, and people already know them best to vote for them. Maybe Labour's different, more unique, more better that maybe people aren't so sure about yet, and maybe our aims aren't as they expect. I feel we still have a chance, and with these aims and the government in which we wish to provide.
Well, the Lib Dems still have 2 times the amount you have, obviously 2 Labour and 4 Lib Dem. How do you think you're going to pull back from this when you're half of what the seats they have?
Sorry, could you repeat that question?
Well, you have half the seats of what the Lib Dems have. They have 4 seats and you only have 2. What do you make it? Why do you think this is, and do you think you can still pull back from this?
Well, I think we have a very strong chance in pulling back in this. Obviously, Lib Dems have a similar belief to us and a similar, motto. They want, or similar slogan. They want to believe in Britain and back Britain and make Britain a much better place, and work together with the people. But Labour aims to do a very similar thing, so I can't see much difference.
Alright, back over to Arthur to get even more results, I believe.
We can confirm that Cumberland, Yorkshire, and I believe Edinburgh have gone to the Liberal Dem, which is a gain of 3. That sees them sitting on 7 seats. Labour on 2, only 1 more seat to declare.
Well, we already have that settled. You will have less seats than the Liberal Democrats after this final seat is announced. Do you think that you'll do better next election, or is this just a blunder on your side and you're looking to fix it?
I think we could do a lot better next election with far more aims, if we can provide more, because clearly Liberal Democrats provide a very similar amount or a very strong amount, which is quite clearly explained very well. So I think we could do much better in the next election, but I also think there is some chance for us.
You seem to compare the Liberal Democrats and Labour very much, but some may argue that you don't have that much in common. Why do you say that you do have similar policies to them?
Well, quite clearly, we aim to, of course, launch the media recruitment scheme, encouraging media, and looking at this here, they aim to organise cultural festivals, expositions, and events to celebrate the diverse heritage of the Roblox UK community. So the thing that's very similar is culture and media can be very unique to each other because you can share culture on media. So I see culture and media as a very unique and very similar thing. And I think that they both apply to the similarity of each of our aims.
Alright, we're going back over to Arthur to get the final seat, I believe.
Final seat is Lancashire, which is a Labour gain from the Liberal Democrats, and that rounds up 10 seats, with the final tally being the Lib Dems on 7, the Labour Party on 3.
Alright, let's compare what we have here. So we got predicted 5 Liberal Democratic seats, with 4 going to Labour and 1 to the Conservatives. However, the Conservatives have gotten nothing, and the Lib Dems have pulled out very far ahead of Labour. Now, how do you feel about these results, and do you think that having this extra seat in Lancashire is an important step? Do you think it'll make a difference?
Lancashire is most respected by the people, and of course most people who vote for us might be Lancashire because they get more of the sides and view and perspective of our party, because obviously they're in a similar area and obviously a similar county to where the capital is, London. So I think in terms of Sorry, could you just repeat one of those questions again?
I asked you how you felt about how Lancashire could have
Yes.
added to you.
Yes, there are a lot more people in this area that support our party and support political aims because they are very close to where we are and where we're making the aims. So their decisions and choices can be much more easily made because while, you know, they are like everybody else, being in a much closer zone allows you to see things more for real and understand things more. You know, get a bit of a perspective of what's going on a bit more because you're more closer to an area where these things are happening. So I think we're most respected by the people in this area specifically because, you know, it's quite close to where we are.
Alright, let's go on to a more recent event of the UK joining the UN. Do you agree with this? And are you if you don't, are you going to pressure the current government to, you know, leave it, or are you going to stay in it?
I have a very strong point about this, and I'm going to say that it's really imperative for us to be in the United Nations simply because it makes our country much more respected by other countries around the world. And, you know, obviously with the comparisons to recent wars and conflict, I think it's essential that, you know, while the UK might be a little bit of an exception to this, I don't think it is an exception. You know, while many people may assume that it's an exception, I personally do not think that the UK are an exception to the United Nations. It's important that countries and countries and their wars and lots of conflicts are prevented all around the world, and it's important that us united together make important decisions and important choices. So I really think it's an essential part about being in the United Nations.
Alright, and the final question for tonight. Do you think you'll remain as the leader of Labour and stay as the opposition, or will you resign as this role?
Possibly in future I might make a resignation, but I think for now I'm very much well settled in the activity and my understanding of this role, and I think I can provide many different aims and qualities to this party. So I will wish to stay as the Labour leader.
Well, that's all we have time for tonight. As we heard, we had a majority of Lib Dem being our new government and Labour being placed as the opposition. Thank you for tuning in to the July election of 2024. Have a good night.